G'day guys, Gundam Russ back once again. Well, welcome to this video about how Tomb Raider stole my pocket money. So back in the day, as a kid, I was a huge fan of Tomb Raider. My very first experience playing Tomb Raider was on the PS1, the original PS1 that is, and playing it on a demo disc. And back in those days, I didn't have the internet at home, so my only way of discovering these sort of games was through PlayStation magazines and playing demo discs, or with my friend Josh, we would trade games now and then, and that was another great way of discovering some awesome games. So I was playing Tomb Raider on the demo, fell in love with it. I was a huge fan of Indiana Jones, and this was like playing a sexy version of that movie series. Oh, Lara looking very sharp there. And before I managed to save up my money for the Tomb Raider game, Tomb Raider was everywhere. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing Tomb Raider on magazine covers. And I still to this day have this magazine here. And I used to get the official UK one. And then later on down the track I ended up picking up the Australian edition. But the UK one was a really good read. And this was on the front cover and looked super awesome. And if I quickly flip through, as we have a look through the pages here, it was just amazing. Like, you could see the tombs and the underwater areas, and oh my god, I remember seeing these pictures for the first time. And that love with Tomb Raider continued throughout the PS1 era, and I still remember special memories of even playing the Tomb Raider title with my mum, trying to get past some tricky parts on there, and she did actually help me solve a few of the puzzles, which was really awesome. And then we move on to the PS2 era. The PS2 era was probably one of my most favourite times in my gaming life. It was just such an amazing console with so many great games. And we get to the point where there's this new Tomb Raider game coming out, and it was called, this one here, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, The Angel of Darkness. And I was like, awesome, there's going to be a new Tomb Raider game coming out on the PS2. I can only imagine what it's going to be like graphically, because I remember the jump from playing Gran Turismo 2 and then jumping up to Gran Turismo 3. For those people into Gran Turismo, you'll know that was like, wow, this is a huge improvement. So you can imagine when I saw that this was coming out, I was like, oh my god, this is going to be awesome. I can't wait to see, especially Lara Croft in all her more, I guess, in more detail. That's what I was excited about, but I'm also excited to see these better environments and more detail, and hopefully have a bigger game than what was allowed on the PS1, being it was a limited console back then. So I still remember to this day, I was at school, I was in the computer room, and I had just saved up enough money, and Tomb Raider had been out for a few weeks. And I was like, awesome. And I'm looking up at this clock on the wall, and I'm waiting for 3:30 to head home. And I was just like, as soon as that hits there, I had already had my bag ready to go. I'm out the door, I'm running to the bus. And my school was quite a while away from home. I had to catch a bus, a train, and another bus to get to school, but it was all worth it. Really enjoyed my school. But I digress. But anyway, so I jump on the bus, super excited. I've got my wallet full of my money, ready to go. And I get into the city, this is Adelaide City, and I go into a store at the time called Big W, and it still is Big W today, but back then they had a lot more range, I believe, when it came to games. And so I find there's Tomb Raider on the display piece. I pick it up, take it over to the lady, she loads the game in to the case, and away I went. And as soon as I got home, I was super excited. I made sure I picked up the game on a Friday, so then I had plenty of time to play it. And mum being mum was like, all right, you can play the game once you've had your dinner. So luckily for me, I still remember to this day, I said to mum, if at all possible, could you please have tea ready for when I get home, because I just really want to jump in onto this Tomb Raider game. And mum knew how excited I was, so she was lovely and had that ready for me. And so I scoffed down tea. I've never eaten tea so quickly in my life. And then I sit down in front of my PS2, pop the disc in, and I start the game, and oh my god, it was just, you slowly go, my excitement went from up here to just slowly dwindling down just to being like, oh, this game is painful. And this this is seriously one of the shittiest games I've ever played in my life, guys. It was interesting to, the actual people behind it, Core Design, actually went broke in the process of making this game. And what happened was that they had rushed this game out for release. It hadn't been finished, and it was just an absolute mess. One of the biggest problems I had with this game was the fact that there wasn't anything that related to Tomb Raider. From the very beginning of the game, I still remember to this day, you go into this training level, and it is a absolute piece of ass. It's like horrible. You just have to make the one wrong judgment on this training level, and you fall to your death and you die. And that's something you find happens so much in this game. You will die and you will die and you'll die. But the worst thing was, with this, even this training level, it took quite a few minutes to get through it. But if you died during this training level, guys, you didn't just die and go back to the start of that training level. Oh no, you went back to the very start of the whole game. And you had to go back through listening to the characters talk again in relation to the story. And the story is absolutely terrible. It's basically you're accused of a murder, and it's just an absolute yawn fest. And it's nothing like the Tomb Raiders that are on PS1. And thank God today on PS4, if you haven't gone back to Tomb Raider after this game, I don't blame you, but trust me guys, if you haven't gone back to Tomb Raider after playing this game, Tomb Raider games on PS4 are amazing. They are so good. But this is just horrible. I still remember the loading times in this game were, oh my god, they were so bad. There was this Paris level, and it was almost like they had set this Paris area up as being this bigger place, but because they'd rushed the game out, it was only confined to a smaller area. And why I say that is because every time you go into a new area, this, like, say if you go from one building to a next that's right next door to each other, it would be like loading, and then you go to the next little part, loading, and another part loading. And it wasn't just a small amount of loading, it was a lot of loading, and it was like, oh my god. And then you get to the point where it's like, where is all the treasures and raiding the tombs? And they weren't there, and it was like, it was so hard as a kid, because I had saved up all my pocket money, and at that time my parents were giving me $5 a week, and I, no joke guys, bought this game for $99. I bought it for full price. And you wouldn't catch me nowadays buying anything for full price, but back then, being such a big Tomb Raider fan, I wanted to get this on day one. But yeah, I guess I just wanted to share that little story with you. It's I have always thought about just destroying this game, but then I look at it, and in a funny way, it gives me a little bit of a chuckle. And it just goes to show that even when a series is so good and you love that game series so much, that there is always probably going to be a time where there's going to be something thrown in the mix that is going to be a piece of poop. And luckily that Tomb Raider did not disappear off the face of the planet, because this game here could have just done that. Bloody hell, Lara. Bloody hell. Well, there we have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of story. I know you guys like hearing my stories of the past, and I have got plenty of things to say. If you haven't hit that thumbs up, please do. And if you haven't subscribed, it would be awesome for you to come join this awesome community that we have here. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. See you later.